Hello friends, welcome here to my channel. I'm gonna reach forward. Hold on, I dropped a book. I can't believe I am filming this video. This is my 2021 school year update, roundup, end of year finale, to let you know how things went in our 6th term and just the year overall and what we used, what we didn't use, some like curriculum review. It's all going to be in this update, so if you're interested, keep watching. If you are new to my channel, hi, I am Christine, a homeschooling mama of 3 kiddos. They're 6, 5, and 3 years old, and we have been homeschooling for like 3 years now, probably 2 years in earnest, and the 3rd year was kind of like getting our feet wet and getting used to it. I was homeschooled myself, so I know a little bit about the process, but obviously I'm still learning a lot along the way, and I like to just share these updates with you to, I don't know, just show what like real life is, and they're often more personal. Like I share some personal updates of what we've been through and how we manage school throughout the time, and just curriculum reviews and things like that. So I'd love to have you along. If you're interested, please subscribe. But I think I'm going to start with updating you on how our term 6 went, and then I'll get into curriculum and just comparing with what we started with to what we ended with. So term 6 was interesting. A lot of things happened in term 6. So I can't even remember what happened in term 5, honestly. But term 6 was one of the hardest times I have been through as a parent, and it was rough. But we also had good things happen. So I'm going to share that. Personally, we just went through some crazy stuff. School was actually okay, but because of the personal side of things, school just had to be like slotted into place. So term 6 started with my brother and his wife having their triplets. So my kids all have triplet girl cousins now, which is so exciting, and they're doing really, really well. We also, I'm trying to think what happened. Like, goodness, the beginning of the term was just crazy. So they had the girls, and the girls have done so well, and it's just been really exciting. We have yet to meet them because they've been in NICU, and with the current status of the world, you just can't have visitors in there, which is 100% understandable. They're little tiny babies with very new immune systems, and so we wanted to protect them. They should be coming home very, very soon, though, so we're excited. So that was kind of like how our term kicked off. It was very exciting, and then everything took a downward spiral. So school was good. We just kind of kept on doing what we were doing. I just had like a plan to tie up all the loose ends and finish out the school term. I don't think I changed anything. Like, we just continued with what we were doing, and it has worked out really well. Annie's been using the Good and the Beautiful preschool curriculum. Jack has finished off the Good and the Beautiful Level K, and we stuck with Simply Good and Beautiful Math, and Annie has finished off Master Books Level K Math. So core subjects we stuck with. We finished off the Oceania unit from Gather Round, and we did Laying Down the Rails. We went back to our habit study from Simply Charlotte Mason this term. And then history, Story of the World, we continued with that, and honestly, it's just gone really well. We've enjoyed all of it, and we also finished off Simply Charlotte Mason's science. So yeah, as far as term 6 school went fine, but like not quite midway into the term, my kids came down with a stomach bug that was like the stomach bug from hell. It was awful. I was like, okay, so I actually ended up being sick that night. I had to go down to ED with something completely unrelated to get antibiotics, and I came home at 1 in the morning, and then I was just starting to drift off to sleep. I was actually sleeping on the couch because I was up and down. I heard a child throwing up in the toilet, thankfully in the toilet. And one of my kids had been sick, and I thought, it's fine, like this stuff happens. Usually it's 24 hours and it's over. It was not 24 hours, guys. One kid came down with it the one night, then the next kid the next night. Then we had 1 night break, and then the next kid got it, and they were sick for like 2.5 weeks. it was awful. It was absolutely awful. I was like functioning on 3 to 4 hours of broken sleep every night. I felt like I was back in the newborn days, but like without all the beautiful euphoric newborn cuddles that like help lift you and give you that like serotonin boost that you need to get through everything. No, this was just pure disgusting sickness. It was horrible. So yeah, that happened. Until we reached our final week. Like, it literally took us to our final week of the term, and we finally all got better. Thankfully, Shane and I never got it. We did do school throughout that time. There were a couple days that we took off when we were all just too sick or too tired to do it, but most of the time I managed to fit in school around things, and it went fairly well. And then we have finished this last week off in good spirits. Still a little bit of sickness hanging out, not the same thing, but I think our immune systems are just a bit shot at the moment, so we're like boosting all the vitamins and probiotics and all the things to just try building back up. So that was term 6. It was like a rough way to end the year, but there were many things to be grateful for in the meantime, namely the triplets. They were just a testament to God's miraculous power, because they've done, like, the likelihood of them surviving the pregnancy and then like childbirth and all the things is just like this, they just defy the odds. They're amazing. So that was a big blessing. Term 6 went well-ish. Sorry, school. It did go well. So let's compare what I started the year with to how I have ended the year. And goodness me, I look back on this year and I'm not going to lie, it's probably been one of the most difficult years I have been through. It has stretched me and changed me and pulled me and forced me to my knees more times than I can count. But it has been a good year. It's just been a hard year. And you can like look back at my other updates to see what's gone on. But it's been interesting, which I'm sure a lot of people can relate. So yeah, for me personally, it was difficult. School, though, I think went really well this year. We sort of found our groove, and I enjoyed the curriculum we used. So I'm going to start like going over. I actually went back and watched my videos, just like skimmed my videos to see what we started with, because I didn't want to miss anything. So I'm going to go with group subjects first, and then I will talk about individual kiddos and individual subjects. So we started out the year planning on using simply Charlotte Mason's science program, which is very light and just gentle. And then we were going to use A Year of Learning, which is a whole unit based on the stories of Peter Rabbit, and I intended on using that for like enrichment and nature study and things like that. And then we were using simply Charlotte Mason's Geography, Bible, and History curriculum to cover those subjects. And I think that was it for group subjects. So now here's where we landed. We dropped all about A Year of Tales and simply Charlotte Mason's Geography, History, and Bible. And I have talked about this throughout the year. I want to preface A Year of Tales. This is one that I have had a few people ask me about, and I just want to like start it by saying I'm not like dissing the curriculum at all, because I think it is a beautiful curriculum and I think it's very high quality and lovely. The reason we stopped using it was me. It was me and my kids. One, my kids don't like Peter Rabbit. I don't know why. Don't ask me why. They're just not that engaged with Beatrix Potter, and it makes me sad. But, like, you can't force it, And so they just weren't super engaged with those stories, and that made it a lot harder for me to be, like, motivated about it. And then the other reason that I ended up stopping it is because it is very Charlotte Mason, and while I love Charlotte Mason, I almost felt like it was hard to use it as a supplement. I felt like I needed us to be completely immersed in the entire curriculum for it to be used well. And so I felt like I wasn't doing it justice. I felt like I was just like pulling from it and throwing things together, and it just didn't feel cohesive. We did have some fun with it. We certainly learned some things through it. We did like lots of watercolors and some nature study and things like that. And then we also got to a point in the year where I was just overwhelmed and I needed to cut back, and enrichment stuff kind of just got pushed to the side. And I have no regrets about putting it to the side. We may pick it up one day. I don't know. But that's kind of the reason we dropped it. Not because it's a bad curriculum. It just wasn't working for us in the season that we were in. And then Simply Charlotte Mason, I did talk about this. I also love that curriculum and highly recommend it. However, for us, it wasn't working with having little children. Like, there was a lot of read louds, and they were quite heavy read louds, and it was fine for Jack, but because I had younger kids. All right, it might look weird, sorry. My memory card filled up, so I had to go and deal with that. But I was talking about Simply Charlotte Mason's curriculum, and I still recommend it. I just want to go, I think we'll probably use it in the high school years, or like older elementary at least. Middle school, or what we call here in New Zealand intermediate, is probably what I'm thinking is when we'll use it, because I just needed younger ones to be able to handle the reading, and mine just could not. So yeah, we did stick with Simply Charlotte Mason's science curriculum all the way through, and then we ended up adding in the Good and the Beautiful safety unit we did over a term, and we really enjoyed that. And then we also added in the Oceania unit from Gather Round, and we really enjoyed that as well. I did start using it with the workbooks that come with it, and we ended up ditching those because we just didn't need it. We used it more as a read aloud, like a jumping off point, and then we would go and like watch videos and do whatever else we wanted to add to it. So that is what we ended up doing for group subjects. And we also added back in history using Story of the World. And what made all the difference for that was getting the audiobook version of the read aloud. Oh my word, it made such a massive difference because it took the load off of me having to read stuff all the time, and the kids really enjoyed it. It's read by Jim Weiss, and he's incredible. So that's been great, and I'm hoping to delve more into that next year, like do more activities and stuff with it, and we'll probably finish off the first book next school year and then move on to the second book in that series. So really enjoyed that, and our group subjects went well. I think we had fun together. I've got exciting things planned for next year, like really exciting. I'm so looking forward to it. So let's move on to individual studies. Jack, my plans for Jack, I believe, was to finish off the Good and the Beautiful level K and move on to level 1. What we ended up doing was starting with this and having to stop. I think we got about like halfway through the year, maybe not quite halfway through the year with this. And we needed to stop. And then we went back to All About Reading because he hadn't finished that. We went back to All About Reading, finished that off, and then picked this back up. And he's finished off the year with this. And so he will be starting the next year fresh with level 1 from the Good and the Beautiful. And it's worked really well. His reading has come a long way this year. Part of that has just been like practice and time, and then also we use like a reading motivation chart that has worked really well. I'll link that down in the description for you. It's in my shop, and it has worked so well for getting him motivated to read. And then we started with the Good and the Beautiful level 1 math this year, and I'll be honest, I did not love that math, not because of the content, but because it had so many moving parts. I used to just like dread having to take out all the million different items, and I felt like I was just constantly looking for stuff. So we ended up switching to their new math that came out mid-year. This is the Good and the Beautiful, their new level 1 with their Simply Good and Beautiful math. And you can see this book isn't that thick, and that's because I only printed out the lessons that I felt he needed to still either practice or learn the concepts for. And then I went ahead and ordered the math boxes that went with these as well. They took a little while to come, so we started using this before the math box arrived, and it was fine. But we have thoroughly enjoyed this, and I highly recommend it. It's been great. It's been really, really good. Jack's enjoyed it. It's exactly what I wanted. It's like all the beautiful content that the previous one had, but without all like the moving parts. So much better. And then the other thing that we stuck with was handwriting. He's continued with the Good and the Beautiful handwriting. He hasn't quite finished that book, and that's because I was doing less handwriting, but with a focus on more like better quality handwriting. And so I didn't push it as much, and we just worked on like the copy work in his book. I just realized that I missed something as well. We actually, this is going to make me sound crazy. We actually did level 1 language arts from master books as well. Language Lessons for Living Education. We went through most of that book. this year before we picked up this again. And we liked it at first, and then we got really bored with it. Both of us did. So it was okay at first, but I haven't had an excellent experience with master books. I've got to be totally honest. I've used 3 of their books now. We did what is it called? Foundations Phonics. My son loved the stories in it, and that was about it. I didn't feel like he learnt anything from it. And then my daughter has done their math, which actually the math's been fine for her this year, but I wouldn't necessarily buy it again. I just think there are better options. But it's not a bad curriculum. I just don't think that it works particularly well for my kids. And I find it just gets a bit repetitive, I guess. It's just not been something that we've loved. So, yeah, we just did a little bit of all sorts with language arts with my son this year, but it has worked. He has done really well. Okay, so then Annie. Now, Annie, I had planned to use the Good and the Beautiful preschool, like finish that off with her. And then I had All About Reading ready to go for her, and that was about, like, all the plans I had. Well, Miss Annie girl, she is my child who just, like, longs for school. Like, she just asks me for it all the time. And so what we ended up doing for her is I got... not ready to read. Oh my word, what is it called? Hold on. Letters and Numbers from Gather Round. I got all 4 units, and we went through 3 of them fully. We completed, and then the last one we didn't quite finish because she was just like over it by then. She was over listening to the stories. But generally speaking, we really enjoyed that. So she went through all of that. So she went through her alphabet almost twice. And then The Good and the Beautiful released their new pre-K unit, which is so much better. It is amazing. I think I've done a review on it. Pretty sure I have. And we love it. So she will complete that before Christmas, and I feel like it's just solidified everything for her. It's just, it's so much fun. And she's actually been doing 2 lessons a day, and that's been working really well for her. So she will finish that, and we'll see how she starts next year. I've got kind of like a couple different ideas for her for next year. She's 5 now, so we are starting like some like, not like formal, but you know what I mean, like it's more serious school now for her. And so yeah, she's done really well with that. She knows the bulk of her letter sounds now. She can definitely blend. I haven't done like dedicated blending work with her, but there's like in the Good and the Beautiful pre-K, it'll say the sounds these letters make, and it doesn't ask them to put it together, but she always does. So I know that she is developmentally ready for reading, which we will be starting next year for sure. It's been nice not to rush her and just to go at her own pace. And then towards the end of the year, we picked this back up again. This is the Level K Math from Master Books, Math Lessons for Living Education. Annie actually started this when she was 3, and she could do it quite well. And so we're finishing this up. She will do the last 2 lessons tomorrow. It's very, very, very basic and gentle math. And basically I did it because we used up the book, and she likes doing worksheets. So that's what we did. It's okay. I wouldn't buy it again, but I also don't think it's necessarily a bad curriculum. Just have your eyes open when you buy it that it is gentle. It is not, there's no addition or subtraction or anything like that you would think of like a traditional math standard book would be like. So just as long as you know that, I think it's great. And I think it can be really good for the preschool age too, if you have a child who is pushing for that kind of thing. So the last thing, this is actually Jack. I'm jumping back and forth. I forgot. This is the Ready to Read series, which I have a few of these. Might give you a hint for next year. And I read through these stories with Jack in the last couple terms. So I didn't do the workbook with him at all. We've just read the stories because he loves Africa, and it's like a reading and then comprehension questions. And so I just ask him the questions, and he loves it. He loves animal facts. He's at that age, and he just really enjoys it. So we did this just like fun story or 2 a day. And that's it. That's what we did for 2021 school year. I think that's everything. I don't think there's anything else. So I'm very excited about next year because there's some fun curriculum choices and just different things that we haven't done before. And yeah, I'm looking forward to filming those videos for you. I'm in the process of buying all the last minute things that I need, and then I will sit down and film for you. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask away, and I will do my best to answer. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Had more of your smile. What if the wind could spread your love? What if your sweetness could reach everyone? There'd be no wars. Maybe the birds will